So we are a week away from marking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 2-year tenure as Manchester United boss, and with that milestone coming up for the Norwegian, there are really two questions that spring up to my mind. The first one, what does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have to show for his time with the club as Manchester United boss? Two, where does the club stand? Has the club progressed or has it regressed? And maybe to add on one more bonus question to make it three, is he still the right guy to lead Manchester United to its glory days, a time that everyone involved with the club very much longs for? Now, when we come to this point of evaluating or reassessing, the time or success of a manager at a particular club, it really boils down to one thing. We know football to be a results game, and then when we look at managers in particular, we look at the trophy cabinet. What did the trophy cabinet look like at the time you were appointed, and what does it look like now? Now, when you win a few trophies, then we would say that's a fairly successful time with the club. When you win lots of trophies and the major trophies, say Premier League title, you win a league title, you win the Champions League, then that is a very successful time at a football club. If you have nothing to show for it in terms of trophies, then more often than not we consider that to be a failure. And if you're involved with the club as big as Manchester United with the status that it holds and you have nothing in terms of trophies to show for it, then that is an imminent failure. And unfortunately, that is the latter category is where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer falls in. For the 2 years he's been at the club, he has nothing in terms of trophies to show for his time at the club. Now, we live in a very different day and age in football right now where we pay far more close attention to detail. If Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, say tomorrow or a few days from now, a few weeks from now, decided to part ways, and you asked me that what would you remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for his time at Manchester United? Now, no trophies, that's out the window right now. But nowadays we do take into account achievements. We take into account the records. We take account a very good run or maybe a particular game. You would say something like that, and I've taken the liberty to just draw a few things that I think I would definitely remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for, and say, yeah, he coached Manchester United from this period to this period, and this is what he did. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has 108 games under his belt and has won 61 games, lost 27, and drawn 20. So that is a fairly good record, I would say, because that's above average in terms of win percentage. I think it's about 50% win percentage, so that is all right. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so far in the league, has gone 9 away games unbeaten dating back since the restart after lockdown. And that's pretty impressive because it's hard going away from home and going into the opposition's turf and then getting victories, but they've done it 9 consecutive times, so kudos to that. In the 2019-20 season, there was a period where Manchester United went 19 games unbeaten. I think that was a period when we all thought that Manchester United had finally turned the corner, that things were starting to look good for Manchester United, that they were definitely progressing slowly but surely. The same season, 2019-20, they managed to get themselves into 3 semi-finals. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer led them to the UEFA Europa semi-final, led them to the FA Cup semi-final, and led them to the EFL semi-final, right? And that same season, they finished third in the league and managed to qualify for the UEFA Champions League. Now, as I say, there are only a few things I would definitely notice of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's time, the 2 years that he's been here so far at Manchester United, and those were those. I mean, it was that, really. And yeah, you could say there are a few games in there, beat Manchester City, beat PSG still, and yeah, you could mention that. But as a collective, I would think this is really what I would really remember. And if you're a Manchester United fan and you were sat in a pub somewhere or with your friends, and then you had Manchester City friends and Liverpool friends, and then you asked yourself the question, what do our particular clubs have to show in the last 2 years in terms of achievement? Manchester City fans would say, we won the EFL Cup last season, and yeah, we won the Premier League title in 2018. Liverpool fans would say, we've won the Champions League and we won the Premier League. We won the Premier League last season after 30 years. Manchester United, this is basically what you'd have to say. We made the UEFA Champions League last season, 3 semi-finals. And really, that would be pretty embarrassing. And you really feel disgusted by those statistics, in my opinion. And as someone who is inclined towards Manchester United, it hurts because really we have no trophy to show for it apart from these few things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has managed to achieve in the 2 years that he's been here. Now, As a fan, yes, you don't like to see that, and I'm sure there's a very big majority of the Manchester United fan base that has been accustomed, because I'm sure when you speak to a Manchester United fan, they will most likely bring back the days of Sir Alex Ferguson. So there's a large fan base or majority of those who still supported Manchester United during their glory days, when they won trophies up to the point when Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And right now, when you look at those, you really are embarrassed, and you really like, is this is just how far we've fallen from grace, that we have nothing to show in the last 2 years, that we just keep on sacking managers. We've won, yes, Europa League, but right now it is so embarrassing, and under this new manager, we have nothing to show for it in 2 years. But if you asked me to judge the manager's performance, I would say the manager has done pretty alright. I say the manager has done the best he could possibly do as someone that Manchester United decided to choose to lead them. I think he signed his contract in 2018 for the next 4 years. I'd say he's done pretty alright. Now, when somebody comes to Manchester United as a manager or as a player, there is automatically responsibility and expectations that is thrown over their shoulders. All right, if you're a player, we don't care if you're playing in the Championship, we don't care if you're playing for Swansea or playing for Blackburn Rovers, if you're playing for Mansfield Town. When you are signed to a club like Manchester United, and say you go up against Manchester City and you're in the starting 11, when you're in the football field, when you go up against a team like Bayern Munich, maybe say you're drawn up against Bayern Munich, we expect you to be better than the opposition. We expect you to be a better player than the other player. If in any sense we know that you're not, but we expect you to be better than them. We expect you to go out there in the passionate duel and be better than them. If you're a manager, when you come in and you go up against the likes of Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp, as a Manchester United manager, we want you to beat them. We want you to get one over them. We want you to go out there and beat the best coaches in the world, even if, in all honesty, you can't. Even if your potential, even if the best of your ability says you cannot. We want you to go out there and do that. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming into Manchester United, we all went onto this train thinking that, okay, Manchester United know exactly what they're doing by signing him, by giving him a contract, and that he's going to go out there and go toe-to-toe with some of these big players, with some of these big name managers in the world, the Pep Guardiolas, the Jurgen Klopps, and he's going to do a job. He's going to be able to compete for the Premier League trophy. He's going to be able to compete for the Champions League, but yet, in all honesty, his ceiling is nowhere near their ceiling. And the funny thing is, and you know, I'm pretty embarrassed, because we've come up with these debates, we've come up with these rivalries. When Manchester City goes up against Manchester United, we say it's a Manchester derby. It is Pep Guardiola versus Ole Gunnar Solskjaer versus Jurgen Klopp. Yet it is really, I hate to say it, but it would really be kind of like an insult, because when you look at their CVs, these guys have achieved a lot. Jose Mourinho has 20 trophies under his belt. What does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have? Yes, he won a few trophies with Molde before he went to Cardiff City, but got relegated from Cardiff City, and then failed to win with Molde before he came to Manchester United. And yes, I have to give him credit for that, for those 2 trophies, because those are trophies. But when you compare the standard and the magnitude of the trophies these other managers have won, they are way bigger than those. And so when you decide to compare them, despite them being Manchester United, Manchester City, I mean, there's a very huge gap between them. In fact, there's a rift valley. There's rift valley between those kind of managers, between Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's a rift valley between them, because he hasn't achieved anything near what these other managers have achieved. Not at all. Now, I'm going to break it down to you. I'm going to break it down. I've already talked about what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has achieved in 2 years, and it is really not quite that impressive. But then I'm going to break it down in terms of, you know, what a manager should be doing at a football club. I mean, improvement and then progress of the football club. I'll start off with the improvement, right? Now, a lot of people say that Manchester United hasn't been backed, or they haven't really backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And when I hear that, I really get baffled, because when you do your research, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United has spent roughly 250, 276, 280 million euros on recruitment. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, brought in Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, Daniel James, recently brought in Donny van de Beek, Alex Telles, Facundo Pellistri. So there is really nothing that, looking at those metrics, that you can tell me that he hasn't really been back, because 276 million is a lot, million euros is a lot of money. And now, when you talk in terms of improvement, when Manchester United went out to sign Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I remember, was playing for Crystal Palace, and the season before we signed him, he was one of the top tacklers in the league, and there were a lot of people out for his signature. And Harry Maguire was one of the best defenders in the league, and it actually had lots of England fans talking that we've actually found a real English centre-back, because England has for so long, been identified by, their centre-back identity, the likes of Rio Ferdinand, the likes of John Terry. So there was this centre-back identity that they'd always been looking for, and then when Harry Maguire came up to the scene, everybody bought into believing that, we've actually found a player who fills one of those voids, right? And then when you go from a team like Crystal Palace or Leicester City to a team like Manchester United, automatically we do believe and we know that that is a step up, because now you're coming to a club with better training facilities, a club with better personnel that's going to take care of your body, a club with better coaching staff, then a club with, we would automatically think has better players that's going to make you raise your game to a whole other different level, right? But now we knew that those players definitely had massive potential. Even Daniel James, coming from the Championship, we had to beat off the likes of Arsenal and a few other Premier League teams, and then just to get his signature, right? And then when they came into the club, yes, we saw flashes and we got excited. Daniel James, first few games was like, okay, with this player, just a few more games, once he can get more games under his belt with proper coaching, then he can be a player that we can really rely on in the future. Harry Maguire, same thing with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We knew he was good defensively, but needed to, work on his attacking game. Harry Maguire, yes, same thing, a little bit more coaching. But then when you look 2 years down the line, has anything improved? When you look at those players, if anything, it looks like they just keep on regressing. It's like Daniel James is a player I'm pretty sure 90% of the Manchester United fan base would not want to see him on the match day lineup. Truly, this is by talking to some of my Manchester United friends. And then when you look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's good defensively. You can't beat him one-on-one. But going forward, he is like when he was learning how to play football, they told him that football is all about defending. Do your thing defensively, and then never mind about the attack. Harry Maguire, right now you can have an argument whether he deserves to be in the England starting 11 or not, and let alone being Manchester United captain. Yet everybody thought he would be the English captain. So, as a manager, we sometimes tend to judge you by how you improve your players, how you coach your players. You look at a team like Liverpool. You see these youngsters coming out of the academy. You look at the likes of Nico Williams. You look at Kelleher, the goalkeeper. You look at Curtis Jones, and when they play amongst the senior players, you can really tell that Jurgen Klopp is really taking these players, showing them the roots, coaching them, and then some of the other players as well are taking them under their wings and telling them this is how professional football is played, this is how you should play, should be your ball movement, and they are buying into that. And every time they get given the opportunity, you see improvement each and every game. Because I watch these young lads, and Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp has come up with a philosophy whereby he has his one team, a settled team, yes? But now he's getting these players from the academy and he's teaching them the roots, so that he's creating depth within the club without having to go out and sign players, but he's creating depth within the club. When you look at Manchester United, even our first 11 has no improvement at all. And who does that go back to? It goes back to the coaching staff. It goes back to the manager. There is no improvement. You look at Mason Greenwood. I think he's been the revelation at Manchester United, and I think even English football, him and Phil Foden are the future of English football per se. And then, yes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a faith in him and say when he sold Romelu Lukaku, was like Mason Greenwood is going to play a very big part for us. And yes, last season he was superb. Mason Greenwood looked to be like a player who deserved that right wing. Then a lot of people were like, we don't even need to sign Jadon Sancho because we have Mason Greenwood. But then, this year, this season, things have just been down the hill. He's had his off the field problems, and then he's kind of struggled as well on the pitch. And then it also goes back to, what is the manager doing? Taking care of these players, taking care of the young players. You're bringing them out, but at the same time, you're supposed to be like their father. When you hear the stories the Manchester United players had about Alex Ferguson, or even the stories that, you look at some of these big clubs like Real Madrid had with Zidane during the time when they were unbeatable. He acted like a father figure. He actually acted like a leader, and when he says something, the players really took to that. So Ronaldo told us about his connection with Alex Ferguson, but where is that between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and these younger players? Where is that? It is not shown at all. Brandon Williams, I thought that, when he came onto the scene, I was like, okay, this could be an exciting player, and he could actually be the replacement for Luke Shaw, maybe Alex Telles in a few years' time. But every time he comes on now, you're like, this is the same player who came on for the first time last season. And there is no improvement at all. He's not improving at all. So in terms of improvement, as a coach, as a manager, he's failed in that sense. And when you look at the progress, we sacked Jose Mourinho because we wanted to compete for the trophies, we wanted to compete for the Premier League, we wanted to be in the Champions League, not the Europa League. And yes, last season we managed to get into the UEFA Champions League, but we were nowhere near competing for the title. And then we thought next season is going to come up the way we finished. Next season is going to be next season we're going to be closer to Liverpool and Manchester City. But we are far off yet again. It's an open Premier League season, yes, but you can see the difference in the levels of football. We are far off from Liverpool and Manchester City. The recruitment's been bad. There is no game plan. There is no identity. Jose Mourinho has been at Tottenham Hotspur for 1.5 years or even less, and you already know what he's going to play. Frank Lampard has been at Chelsea for 2 years now, 1.5 years coming on as well, but you can see what he's trying to do. You look at Pep Guardiola, when he came in, yes, struggled first time, but it took 1.5 years as well for him to get the identity and know the way City was going to play. But we're coming to close to 2 years and we still have no idea how Manchester United is going to set up. The preparation is not there. We don't know what personnel fits what position, because every time before a game we're like, I think he should play this player, I think he should play this player. There is no settled arrangement, preparation for games within this Manchester United side, and there is no progress. Yes, we made it the UEFA Champions League, but as we speak, we're going to be playing Thursday night football yet again. And why is that? I watched the first few games. We beat PSG, we beat RB Leipzig, and what that made me realize is, after all the group stage games and we found out in the Europa League, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can win football games, but he simply cannot compete. He can win football games, but simply cannot compete. I can play chess. I will win a game of chess, but I cannot compete in chess at all. I can go beat up one person, maybe if it's my lucky day and a really good chess player is off and I do my things right, then I will win a game. But say we compete, there's no way I can compete, and that is simply Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He can win a football game, but he cannot compete. Not at all. And we deserve to play in the UEFA Europa League, and I think that is exactly where we deserve under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And we've built a reputation for ourselves this season of coming back, all right? And that is quite impressive. But if I were a manager, right, and I had the option of throwing in Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, throwing in Donny van de Beek, throwing in the likes of Edison Cavani, then these are some of the best players in world football. These are really talented players. On their day, if they go into that football pitch and everything clicks, they are going to outplay the opposition. They're going to go and outplay the team. Then talking of the likes of Brighton, talking of the likes of West Ham United, they are better than most of those players. So if everything clicks, they are going to win. And it is merely down to individual brilliance more than looking at it as more as a tactical thing, tactical brilliance. And yes, I have to say, I have to own up to it, because I thought that it was a tactical I was thinking about it pretty much, and I said that it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was getting it right, but it's more than that. It was simply tactical, simply individual brilliance. I don't know why I'm getting that wrong, but simply individual brilliance. That's simply what it was. And in terms of progress, there is no progress at all, because we sacked, as I said, Mourinho because we want to play in the Champions League and compete for trophies, but we're not competing for trophies. We're not in the Champions League. So there's been no progress at all. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has absolutely nothing to show for his time at Manchester United, apart from a few queer, eccentric achievements, records here and there. And then, is he the right guy? No, I don't think so. Mauricio Pochettino is a top manager. Mauricio Pochettino did an exceptional job with Tottenham Hotspur, given the fact that he was not backed. Give 276 million, or say if Spurs had given 276 million to Mauricio Pochettino to spend. And mind you, he made it to the UEFA Champions League final without signing anybody that season. So if he'd been given that money to bring in players that he wanted, wouldn't it have been something different? Wouldn't it be a different story? I believe it would have been so. I think there's definitely somebody who can get a better performance, can get better results out of this Manchester United team, and I simply don't think it is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has reached his ceiling. That's why I'm like, he's done a pretty good job. Manchester United are simply getting what they signed up for, and that is an average coach who's getting average results, and this is his ceiling. Third place, a few unbeaten games. Trust me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will part ways with Manchester United, and I don't know if he sees it the way I see it, but as I see it, I mean, this is as good as it's going to get as him being a manager at Manchester United, because he's been given everything to succeed. He's been given the money, he has the players, but he has nothing to show for it in terms of trophies. He should have won a trophy already. 3 semi-finals, none of them he managed to get through them. First time round, thinking, okay, he's going to learn from his mistake. No, lost the second one. And then thinking from that, okay, he has to get a third one right. Third time's a charm. Lost the one as well. Tells you he can't get past that level. In trading, there's what we call support and resistance. And I believe this is the resistance for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think Manchester United need to get someone in, someone who can get a better job, because I believe there's someone out there who can do a better job with this set of players. Because you have Bruno Fernandes. I mean, if you have Bruno Fernandes, build the team around him, play around him. Try to make sure that, you know, he is in a position to make other players better. But each and every week, he is the best player week in, week out. You have Marcus Rashford, who I still think also he can become a really good player under a better manager. I believe if he was under a manager like Jurgen Klopp or Zinedine Zidane, he would be one of the best strikers in world football right now, and he would be in the same conversation as Harry Kane most likely. You have the likes of Anthony Martial, Paul Pogba. Yes, Paul Pogba is still one of the best midfielders in world football in my opinion. So there are players, there's a manager out there who can do a good job, a better job with this set of players, and it is up to Manchester United to definitely sniff them out. It is up to the board to sniff them out. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, this is his ceiling, and he's done a very good job for his liking. For the way I rate him, he's done a very good job. But if Manchester United want to be back amongst the big boys, there's someone out there who can do a better job. But if the board is okay with this, because they came out and say they're still going to back him after the elimination from the Champions League, and if you have a board that's still going to back, you know, someone who I really don't think has the potential to get you where you want to be, then it's simply telling us that they're okay with being average right now. And then it is up to them to come out, tell the fans that, you know what, we're okay with this, so it is time for you to lower expectations and be okay with this. Simply that. But there's somebody out there who can do a better job, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think his 2 years at Manchester United for right now has been simply stunted time. It's been a waste of time. That's the way I look at it. And they'll go up against Manchester City next. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out of that one. But yep, that is my take on the whole Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United scenario at this point in time.